Hello, my name is Rachel Bartholomew, and I'm the founder of HyIvy Health. Imagine you're a 28-year-old female and you just found out that you have cervical cancer. You discover that you're going to need radiation and surgery that's directly going to impact your sexual health for the rest of your life. So you reach out for advice and you realize you aren't alone. 1 in 3 women are dealing with a pelvic health related illness, and there are over 227 million women struggling with a diagnosis that directly impacts their sexual health. And as you start treatment, you start having multiple symptoms such as swelling, pain, and changes in sensation, which are similar across multiple diseases, including pelvic-based cancers, reproductive disorders, and menopause. And through these women's shared experiences, you find out that 60% of them have a fear and anxiety towards sex. 85% of them wanted a new rehab product to try, and 87% of them felt they needed more training and education with current rehab options. What these women need is a safe, trustworthy, and comforting set of products at a time they're most fearful and vulnerable. This is why we created HyIvy Health. We create pelvic rehab products for women for sexual recovery after the diagnosis of a pelvic health-related illness. Our first product is a connected modular vaginal wand, and it has 8 sensors and 5 mechanical functions to help a woman rehab from the comfort of her own home. Our device has functions such as autodilation, which increases tissue elasticity, self-lubrication, which increases comfort levels, ultrasound, which reduces injury rate, and hot and cold therapy, which decreases pain. And by tracking all of this sensor data in real time, we can actually help patients see their progress and report on their symptoms before and after their sessions. All of this can be used by the doctors to see the effectiveness in their treatments and make adaptive changes to treatment plans on the fly. Together with the app as well as the device, we can provide a safe, customized, and informative rehab experience by involving the doctors, customizing the product, and getting regulatory clearance. And we also have a direct impact on the patient by increasing their tissue elasticity by 46%, decreasing their pain by 60%, and increasing their comfort levels by 90%. We also see an improvement in the emotional, mental, and overall satisfaction of the patient's pelvic health while improving their accountability and their education on their rehab treatments. We're the only device on the market that treats a number of different symptoms at once. We involve the doctor in the process and is fully customizable for specific treatment needs and can actually convert to pleasure afterwards, after rehab is complete. We also are the only device that collects the data that's needed for insurance to actually track your progress and clear you for the financial coverage that you need. We sell the base device for $350 along with 2 other product package options. And this has us sitting at around a 58 to 63% gross margin on our products. We also sell a reoccurring monthly subscription to our custom lubrication and drug pod refills that are built specifically for the device. And this represents around 30% of our overall revenue. We also sell additional modular add-ons as well as anonymized data for medical research. Our go-to-market strategy is to first sell direct to consumer through a pre-sale on Kickstarter and then online to the novelty market. And we want to use those revenues to then help fund our regulatory approval needed so we can sell into the healthcare market to doctors and therapists under a new brand name. We sell into the gynecological instrument as well as the sexual wellness markets, targeting 43 million women in North America who can benefit from our product. And this doesn't include women who've actually experienced menopause and childbirth. And with a 1% market share, we hope to change the lives of over 500,000 women. These women, on average, are aged 40 to 55, and they're proven to be health conscious and technically savvy. They've also have either had kids or have experienced menopause, and they buy their products online because they come in discreet packaging and they have access to an abundance of customer reviews. Once regulatory approval is achieved, our goal is to have the prescription as well as the distribution of our product handled by the 4,000 sexual health doctors in Canada, as well as the 750 pelvic floor therapists in Ontario. And there's over 100 million currently being spent in Canada to treat these pelvic pain symptoms. To achieve this medical strategy, we're advised by a number of reputable, amazing, and respected medical professionals in their field who are helping us with our medical first product design as well as our medical research. And these doctors have also provided feedback on how they would use our product in their line of work, as well as the impact that our product can have on their ability to treat their patients more effectively. We have made connections with manufacturers in Canada and the US for our first manufacturing run, and we'll be looking to transfer over to offshore manufacturing later for economies of scale. We'll also be selling directly online through our web store and then scale our distribution through selling to other online retailers as well as Canada-wide storefronts. And in the future, we'll be putting together a medical sales team to sell our medical product to these doctors and therapists, as well as insurance companies for reimbursement. We've had some great news coverage so far, which has helped us achieve 3 letters of intent by pelvic health clinics, 150 signups to test and buy the product by customers, and got us an invite to speak at Kickstarter, where we're going to make some awesome connections to help us run a successful campaign. We've also got the attention of sexual health influencer, Dr. Jess O'Reilly. She's from Sex with Dr. Jess. And we have been positioned as a thought leader through women sharing their stories with us in this space, where we're going to continue to share information through social media, blog posts, and PR. On top of this marketing traction, we've worked really fast, completing a number of designs and prototypes on the product. And we've been accepted into a number of startup programs in Canada and the US. We've been working alongside regulators as well as certification authorities, and we've recently completed our bill of materials, which we're now using to line up potential manufacturer quotes. Our focus over the next year is to file our patents, close a pre-seed round of $500K, which will all help us finish our manufacturing run, ramp up our pre-sales, and release our product to market. And in the fall of 2021, our plan is to raise a significant seed round post-revenue so that we can scale our marketing efforts across North America and Europe, and then get our premium medical product to market. To execute on these goals, we've made a comprehensive action plan for hiring, the partnerships needed, and the number of units and people we need to help test the product to achieve our goals. We've also planned out our financial needs, and this lays out how we would spend our $750K in pre-seed as well as government grant funding to get us to product launch and post-revenue. We also have big plans for the future to make additional products and modules, as well as a medical-based application and a cheaper version of the device. We've also been approached by a number of companies to partner on additional high-tech modules, which would be in the sensors in the heads, as well as the lubrication pod packs and using CBD for the device. And to make this all happen, we've assembled an amazing team of seasoned entrepreneurs, engineers, and scientists. All of our engineers have worked with medical devices in the past. And for Kemiar and myself, this is our second startup. And we've worked in the innovation space for over 8 to 10 years. I also want to note that we're currently hiring for a CTO as well as a systems engineer. So if anyone's out there, please holla at me. And the 35K from Synapse would be critical for us. This would allow us to pay for those 2 female biomed engineers we just employed, who are going to help us get our product ready for manufacturing. The in-kind from the lawyers would be used for filing our provisional utility and design patent, and the in-kind from BDO would help us prepare for our fundraising strategies. I want to close off my pitch with a story. Remember that 28-year-old female at the beginning of my pitch? That female was me. I was diagnosed with cervical cancer this past May, and after radiation and surgery myself, I wanted to tackle this problem not only for me, but also for the thousands of women I'm encountering who are struggling with their sexual health, their relationships, and just basic pelvic exams by their doctors. And with HyIvy, I hope to promote the importance of pelvic health in the healthcare system, as well as help change that stigma that sex is actually a part of healthy living as you get older. So that being said, I know personally pelvic cancers and diseases suck, but I also know that your sex life doesn't have to. Thank you for your time.
All right, I guess I'm first up with questions. So thank you, very good presentation.
Thank you.
My first question is, as you look to scale this up, you talked about 2021.
Yeah.
Have you done any calculations in terms of the potential capital that you're thinking, particularly as you're looking at entering the D2c market? That could be quite expensive, and what thoughts have you done around that?
Yeah, so the D2c strategy is really ramping up that pre-sale with the Kickstarter, and that pre-sale, the goal is to sell 250 units. That's around 100K in revenue, and then pairing that with that 750K, you know, in grant money, as well as that pre-seed funding that we're looking to raise, and we currently have about half of that allocated to us right now. We can work out getting through the prototyping and finishing up stage, and then that first manufacturing run. Then that's when we're going to need to start heavily marketing, starting to ramp up, and that's when we're going to be looking to raise that $3 million seed round, and that would cover more manufacturing runs, and then looking into the future in terms of that medical-based product. So really, in reality, on financials, it works out that we can cover ourselves up into that point. That's about 9 months of runway, and then around 17 months of runway for that $3 million raise.
All right, thank you. And then, you know, targeting your medical application. So have you thought of what your reimbursement packages would look like to the payers? Because I think that could be a really interesting channel for you.
Yeah, for sure. So something we're exploring. So if there's any connections out there for insurance, that would be very helpful, because this is something that I'm trying to figure out how to navigate currently. I've started the conversations mostly on the regulator side, as well as with the medical doctors I'm working with on how they go through their reimbursement, but I'm looking to actually speak with insurance companies so that I can figure out that strategy and what that looks like on their end.
All right. Those are my questions. Thank you.
Thanks.
Okay, I think I'm next. Can you hear me okay, Rachel?
Yeah, I can.
Yeah, great. Thanks for the excellent presentation.
Thank you.
Talk to me a little bit about what level of privacy is required for the app.
Yeah, for sure. So good question. I actually cut that out of my presentation because it was a little bit too long. But so really, in reality, our strategy is to get that permissioning done. So all the data would be stored locally on the phone. If you want to upload it to the cloud, we're looking at the HIPAA compliance there and using those softwares in that cloud storage that follows those protocols. While we go through testing, everything will be stored locally, everything will be anonymized, making sure that privacy is put forth, and then making sure we go through that permissioning when uploading to the cloud, and doctors are actually able to navigate and look at the reports.
Okay, so would that functionality be ready to go once you go to direct to consumer, or are you going to sort of pump the brakes a bit on the app side until it's in market?
Yeah, so I think the strategy is to have it first on all of the local phones, and then once we get a product that's ready to actually collect that data and involve the doctors in the process, which is really the medical strategy, just releasing a new version of the app that opens up that permissioning and then allows them to store that data in the cloud.
Okay, and on the pricing, the economics of the units.
Yeah.
So your chart that showed the comparables that are in market today, how does your price point compare to those? And you can go as far as a specific number if you want, or just a plus or minus.
For sure. So we actually are sitting right about mid-market. We are sitting with our base device around $350, and then the cancer-based device, which has all the modules together, are at around $450. We have currently a competitor that's sitting at around $750, and that's for their Health Canada cleared device. But then, you know, they're still not as robust in using sensors like we are. They're more on the LED side of things and heat therapy. And then Millie Medical is kind of on the lower end of the scale, and they only have the one function of dilation, and they're sitting at around $250, and they're fully covered. So
right. So I guess and this is a great slide. I guess if my question is, why do you think you're not leaving money on the table when you have such a superior product, but you're almost half the price of the VFit?
Yeah, good question. And so this pricing is really just around trying to keep industry averages, trying to keep, competitive as well as attractive. I think the biggest thing that's a concern for me, and I know talking to some users in the States, they're already going through so much expensive treatment as is. A product that's around $750 isn't going to be able to be, payable for them. So, I mean, I'm trying to manage that. I think that there is room to potentially raise that price, but I want to go through testing. I want to go through that value add and see what users actually say they'd be willing to spend.
And do you have a sense of those three competitors that you got there, what their market share is relative to each other?
Yeah, so VFit is actually pretty large. I don't know a number offhand, but they're doing fairly well. They're just struggling with their FDA clearance right now, but they have they have a pretty significant amount of traction. Medora, I think, just fell through, and then Millie Medical is just starting to get their feet wet now on the ground with pelvic floor therapists. So they've been out actively promoting. I couldn't tell you the percentage of market share. I know one competitor I didn't include in here. They have around 60,000 clients currently with their product, and they're doing more Kegel-based exercises versus like actual pelvic floor therapy.
Okay, good. Last question, and it'll be quick. Is for the U.S. FDA? Is this a 510(k) process?
Yeah, so we've been talking with regulators. We're sitting kind of in this sweet spot of like, we don't know for sure if it's going to be class 1 or class 2, but they are pretty sure that based on the current dilators that are out on the market, as well as some of the competitors like Millie Medical, we should be able to get 510(k) clearance. Okay. So that's the goal. Let's hope that happens. But
well, good luck. Thanks for
your
presentation. Jennifer.
Hi, Rachel. Jennifer Hamilton here. Thanks for your inspiring story, and just amazing. My questions are more along the lines of the science and the claims. I guess the differentiator from these other products is that you can put all these things in one, and you're adding the ultrasound. I'm assuming from the literature and from these other products, you know that this will work?
Yes. So we're actually baselining against the current dilator science. Now, there's not a lot of it out there. And so, I mean, my biggest goal too with this is to help promote that medical research that's really needed. But the information we're currently using is based on just the static dilator information and benchmarks. And those don't include all the other components that we're providing. So they're just, the dilators, they're the standard sticks that have kind of a Russian doll style. So sizes.
So at some point you're going to have to show that actually this works, and that it could be better than those other devices. And that's what your clinical trials will be for.
Yep, correct? Exactly.
And have you worked out what the endpoints are going to be in your trials?
No. So that's something that we are currently actually working on. So the two girls who joined me for this competition, they're both medical students in McMaster. And so they're actually wanting to come on board with me after this competition, and they're going to be the ones working on laying all that out with me. I have Julie Moore. She's a gynecologist out Southwestern Ontario in the London area, and she's offered up her user base to help with that clinical trial process. So we're going to be looking for things like that decrease in pain and making sure to benchmark that against what they're feeling as well as what the device is stating. And then things like the lubrication levels, how much tissue elasticity we can actually gain, and what that is in comparison to the current options out there. So
and have you looked at all the regulatory challenges with the drug device combos? Is that something?
Yeah, so that's something that I have kind of sitting on the back burner. It's something I do want to tackle in the future, because I think it's really important with estrogen and progesterone that can actually be delivered through the vaginal canal. So that is something I want to look into the future, but knowing that that requires a lot heavier of an FDA regulatory process. So right now, just looking at lubrication.
And I just have a last quick question.
Yeah.
Have you looked at the pre-pregnancy or pregnancy or pre-birth and the postpartum markets and whether or not there could be applications there?
Yes, for sure. So yeah, I mentioned postpartum, but I also know that pre-pregnancy is important for rehab to work up to being able to have a child naturally. And so yes, this is an area that we are looking into. I kind of lump them all into the reproductive side of things.
Okay, got it.
But yeah.
Okay, well, great. Well, thank you very much. A great presentation.
Thank
Thanks for answering our questions.
Yeah, thank you.
Right.